Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Saundra. How is everyone doing this afternoon? I know it's Monday afternoon. Some of you are going back to work from a long and hopefully great Thanksgiving weekend. And I had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend with family, with friends. And I just want to share something with you really, really quickly. I actually have a meeting to go to this afternoon. And before I left for the meeting, I said I wanted to come on and share something with you. And so, hi Curtis, how you doing? So, hi Pastor Armstrong, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Come on in. And I'm not going to do a lot of welcomes and a lot of thank you for joining today like I normally do because of the time lapse. Because I wanted to share something with you really, really quickly that happened over Thanksgiving. Now, most of you know that I am not the world's greatest cook, okay? I have never really liked to cook. And because I haven't really liked to cook, I never really learned how to cook. And so my mom is a wonderful cook, and she has been cooking all these years for us. And so this year, I decided that we would have Thanksgiving at my house. And so, of course, my family was here, my husband's family was here, and it was just great. It was just a great time, and we had a lot of fun. So, I posted on Facebook the pictures of the food because most people couldn't believe. Let me take these glasses off for a second. Most people couldn't believe that I was actually cooking. And so I posted pictures of what we had. You know, we had steak, we had turkey, we had pork ribs, we had all kinds of different things. But there was one picture of one thing. And that was my dad and my brother actually cooking a pot of chitlins. Now, I know that they are spelled chitterlings, but I'm from Richmond County, and in Richmond County, we say chitlins, all right? So there's a picture of my dad and my brother cooking a pot of chitlins. And so later on, everybody, we ate, we had a great time. Everybody left. Everybody got home safely. Praise God. And then I was getting ready to go to bed, and I got a video message from a very good friend of mine. She's actually one of my coaches and my business coach. She and her husband. And in the video message, she said, "Don't eat the chitlins. Don't eat the chitlins." Now, granted, I don't eat chitlins. They were cooked for my brother and my dad and my mother-in-law, because my mother-in-law loves chitlins too. Okay, so those are the only two people that ate them, that actually ate the chitlins. But here's the thing: when my coach and her husband left that video message, "Don't eat the chitlins," I laughed at it, kept going with it. Then the next day, something came to my mind about don't eat the chitlins. This is what just came and dropped in my mind, and dropped in my heart, and dropped in my mind, that I want to share with you guys today. And that is, the reason they said don't eat the chitlins is because most of us know that chitlins are unhealthy for you, okay? They're good for people that like them, but they may not be the healthiest thing to eat. So here's the deal, and this is a question I have for you today. What unhealthy elements are you feeding your mind and your spirit? What unhealthy elements are you feeding your mind and or your spirit? Now, most of us always focus on healthy eating, and that's great, okay? I believe in that. I think you should focus on that. But I also believe you should also focus on what are you putting in your mind and what are you putting in your spirit? And more importantly, who are you allowing to feed your mind and who are you allowing to feed your spirit? Are you letting any and everybody talk to you about where you should be, the things that you're doing? Are you allowing any and everyone to tell you, the kinds of things that you should or should not be doing? Who exactly are you listening to? You see, the reason that came up, or the reason I really think that I began to think about that, is because over the past week, since we had Unlock Your Abundance Live, that was a live event that I held here in Raleigh. ever since we've had that, I have gotten question after question after question about how do I select a mentor. So of course I started studying about how do you select a mentor, and we actually had a training last night in the Vision Building Institute Facebook group. If you're not in that Vision Building Institute Facebook group and you want to get great teaching, then you need to be in there. Okay, so go and join right now. But anyway, so I taught on how do I know when I need a mentor and how do I find a good mentor. So I taught on that last night. And so between the Don't Eat the Chitterlings and how to find a good mentor, the question I want to ask you all, who are you allowing to feed you? Who are you allowing to speak into your life? Who are you allowing to answer questions that you may have? Here's one of the things I told the ladies last night in the Vision Building Institute, and that was that you can't allow any and everyone to speak life or death, because some people speak that the Bible tells us that life and death, actually says death and life, I believe, are in the power of the tongue. So you really can't allow any and everyone to speak into your life. And so when my mentors said, don't eat the chitlins, I want to tell you today, you can't listen to everything that everybody tells you. I'll give you a prime example, and I talk about this example often because I remember it a lot. When I was in the 12th grade, I think I was either in the 12th grade or 10th grade at Richmond Senior High School, I had a teacher that told me I would never, ever be anything. She said, you will never be anything. She says, nothing that comes out of little Philly will amount to anything. It's what she told me. And I will tell you, that hurt me. Okay, that really hurt me because I love my community. I love where I'm from. I love Little Philly, family over everything, right? I love Little Philly because I'm a part. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised. That's where the people that I can go home to and people will love me just because I'm Saundra. I'm Leon and Pauline's daughter and no other reason. Okay? And so I didn't like the fact that a teacher, and this was a teacher, y'all, was telling me that I wouldn't be anything just because of where I was from. So I went home and I told my daddy. And my daddy said that don't you listen to that woman because she doesn't know who you are. She says she can't tell you that you won't be anything. She says because she doesn't know that you're already somebody. Now here's the thing. I can't tell you who the lady was because some of you may know her, and she was a pretty prominent teacher at Richmond Senior High School. But here's the thing. What if I would have listened to her? What if I would have listened to her and I would have allowed what she said to fuel who I was becoming? See, here's the thing. So many times people say things to you. So many times people pour things into you and they literally fuel your spirit either positively or negatively. All right. So I want to challenge you today to begin to look at the people that you are associated with. Look at the people that you allow to speak to you and ask yourself, should I continue to feed on what they're trying to give me? You see, I've come to understand that everybody cannot speak into my life, and neither do I allow everyone to speak into my life. Just because somebody says, well, I need to tell you this, or I need to talk to you about this. Now, I will tell you, I will listen because you always listen. My daddy, my mama always taught me, listen to what people have to say, but you don't always take in everything that everybody says to you. Okay, because there are some things that I know that God has in store for me, and there are some people that may not want me to have it. So the enemy will use those people to speak into my life or attempt to speak into my life to tear down what God has for me. So this is what I'm telling you. If you know that God has promised you something, if you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God has spoken into your life and you're just waiting for it to be manifested, if you know that you are working towards what God has for you, then don't allow anyone to speak negative thoughts, negative information into you. Get a mentor. Get someone who knows you. Get someone who can speak life into you. Don't allow other people's negativity to fuel who you are. Okay, let me say that one more time. Don't allow other people's negativity to fuel who you are. Some people just don't want you to reach the God-given goal that God has for you. And see, I've come to understand that just because someone doesn't want me to reach something doesn't mean it won't happen, because people can feel however they want to feel. But here's the thing. God has a plan for each and every one of us. God has a plan for each and every one of us. All right. And don't allow people who don't want to go forward with the plan that God has for them. Just because they don't want to move does not mean that they can stop you. So all of you that have had people chirping in your ear, and you've had people telling you what you can and can or cannot do, let me help you today and tell you to stop listening to that mess. Begin to listen to what the word of God says for you. Begin to listen to people who you know God has put in your path to speak life into you. Like I said earlier, I don't receive from everybody. Now, I will listen because you have to listen, because you never know who and how God is going to send someone. But if it doesn't, number one, line up with the word, and number two, line up with what God has already spoken to me, that I very seriously doubt I'm going to receive it into my heart. I very seriously doubt that I'm going to say, you know what? I know that you're right. Because you know what? When God speaks and has already revealed to me and already revealed to you some of the plans that he has for you, and then somebody comes along and somebody tells you you're not good enough, or you won't be anything, or you just can't do it because you don't have the education or this or that, then you know what? You just thank them for what they said. Go ahead and thank them. That's fine. But then you look up to God and you said, God, I am so grateful that I know what you said. Because even when the enemy tries to use other people to chirp in your ear and try to say things that are not from God, that's when you have to stand up and let God arise in you, such that you know what God has already promised you. And if you know what God has already promised you, then no one can speak death unto something that God has already promised you. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. All of that came from the simple video message that I got from my coach and her husband that said, don't eat the chitlins. Stop allowing people that have mess in them pour the mess into you. And how do they pour it into us? They pour it into us by speaking those things into us that we don't need to receive. Some of you need to stop receiving things from people that God never intended for that to be in your life. Some of you have not moved forward because of what somebody else said. Some of you won't move forward with something that God has said to do because you're listening to what someone else said. And you know what? Let me give you this right here. Then I got to go to my meeting. And that is, some of you won't move forward because you're listening to yourself. You've heard other people say so many things about you for so long. Now you've gotten that down in your own spirit and you're saying it to yourself. You know what? I rebuke right now the spirit that some of you all have where you're putting down yourself. All right. What if I would have allowed that woman, that teacher, what if I would have allowed that teacher just because she didn't like where I was from, just because she couldn't walk through there at night? Okay. All right. Just because she didn't like something. What if I would have allowed what she said to me to determine who I became? All right. God already had a plan for me. And even though she said what she said, it did not impact what God had for me. And so I want all of you to remember right now, God has a plan for you. And even when somebody tries to get you to eat something, all right, which is saying something to you, jabbering something in your ear, putting you down, trying to speak death over what God has already said to you, Don't receive that mess. Don't receive it. I will tell you right now that I have learned over the past since May 1st that when you're walking in what God has called you to do, when you're walking in what God has called you to do, I tell you what, people will try to tear you down. But here's the thing. Stop allowing people to try to tear you down, and know, as my auntie would say, know that you know that you know, okay, what God has called you to do. And now walk in it. Do it. Don't allow what other people say about you or to you to keep you from the harvest that God has for you. Y'all, it has been great being with you this afternoon. I've got to go and go to this meeting. Then I go get my son. But I just wanted to jump in really, really quickly. You know what? I'm never really, really quickly. I always am on here 15 minutes or so. But I just wanted to jump in just to tell you to not allow people to speak something over you or over your life that God has already said that you're going to have. All right, y'all. Oh, one more thing. Okay, here's the thing. I wanted to tell you about my book. Some of you already have this, but I wasn't going to put it online today. And someone called me and said, Saundra, would you please get online and put your book online, please? So if you go to my Facebook page, you'll be able to see how you can purchase the book, The Ministry Within. If you have somebody that's been called to ministry, if you have someone that is struggling with their call, or if you have someone that is in ministry right now, they need this book today. All right. They need this book. It's called The Ministry Within. And the actual link is bit.ly/The Ministry Within. Or you can go to my Facebook page and you can order it there. But the thing I wanted to make sure that you all remember, and I tell you, this just hurts me so much because I have seen so many people take what other people say and they don't reach the goals that they want to reach. Y'all, there is too much inside of you. I don't know who I'm pointing at. Where's the camera? There it is. I don't know who I'm pointing at. All right. But whoever is out there, I see some of you making comments, and I thank you. I wish I could say hello to everybody, but some people's names have already gone by. But here's the thing. Don't let anybody else. Let me say it one more time. Don't allow anyone else to tell you what you can't do. All right? If God has already told you what he has in store for you. Don't allow anyone else to tell you that you can't when God has already ordained that you can. All right? Again, all this message came from somebody calling me and telling me don't eat, or they sent me a video message telling me don't eat the chitlins. All right? Be careful of what you put on the inside of you. Be careful who you allow to feed your spirit. Be careful who you allow to feed your mind. Again, if it doesn't line up with God's word, or if it doesn't line up with what God has spoken to you, be careful. Y'all, I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.